Joining me right now is UFC featherweight contender Shane Burgos. Shane, it's been a good minute, but you're back now on a big pay-per-view card. How you feeling?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited for this one. It's going to be a good one. Way to kick off the year. Excited for it.
You're getting ready for a fight over the holidays. Is that something that you're used to, or is this something that you really don't like?
I was supposed to fight in the middle of December, so I guess this is a little bit better because I was able to enjoy Thanksgiving fully. So Thanksgiving was fine. Christmas was a little rough though. But what I did was I counted my macro super strict so I could eat a little bit on Christmas. So it wasn't terrible. I wasn't crabby dad like for my daughter and for my wife. So I was able to enjoy it a little bit.
Yeah, I think for food, food-wise, Thanksgiving is tougher than Christmas.
It is, but I have the biggest sweet tooth, and the Christmas cookies, like, they really kill me, man. Like, fighting and food, those are my two things.
Yeah.
I love food, man. Those Christmas cookies kill me.
Yeah, I heard the story of you and the M&Ms before one of your fights.
Yeah, that was bad. That was bad. Terrible.
All right, well, the fans, the world, they only saw you once in 2020. It was a banger of a fight with Josh Emmett last June, a classic for the division. When you look back at that fight, what were some of the realizations you had, with that experience?
Yeah, I touched up on this a little before, but I just had way too much fun in that fight. It was a great fight. I know it was a lot of fun, and I was enjoying the moment a little bit too much, where I let it slip away from me, and I should have just kept my focus, and I didn't need to go going into that third round. I really thought I was up the first two rounds, and then going to the third round, I was like, fuck it, he'll put a stamp on this third round, and so I was pushing forward the whole time. But I should have played it a little bit more, not safe, but I shouldn't have been so reckless coming forward. And the guy obviously has power. He's dropped every single person he's fought at featherweight. I think he has most knockdowns in the division. But after the first two rounds, I really felt comfortable in there. I felt like I was seeing all stuff, but he landed those shots, and he took that round for sure. But I like I said, I just let it. I felt like it just slipped through my fingers.
Most fighters, when I talk to them, they talk about not being in the moment, but you were the reverse.
Yeah. I was in the moment, as in, like, this is just fucking fun. Like, even though there was no fans there, I just felt the energy, and I could tell that this was a fucking fight. Like, in the moment, or like right after the fight, I didn't think fight of the year and like that. I just thought it was a really fun fight. I thought the fans definitely liked that, so I was embracing that. But now looking back, it's like, holy shit, I got a lot of people telling me fight of the year and all this stuff. And even backstage after I lost, I was just so pissed. Everyone's like, oh, that could have been fight of the year, and I was like, fight of the year, what? And then looking back, I can maybe not fight of the year, but I think it was a good fight.
Yeah, definitely. Well, both you guys took some damage in that fight. Emmett's not going to return until maybe at the earliest the middle of 2021. How banged up were you afterwards?
Shockingly, I hope he comes back quicker than that, actually. But shockingly, I had no injuries. I was actually back training on Monday. I got back home Sunday. I was back training on Monday. Nothing crazy. Obviously, I take my brain health very seriously, so I gave myself time off sparring and everything like that. But I was back running on Monday. The most ironic part about that fight was I had some stitches under my eye, but that was literally it. So as soon as I had the stitches out removed, I was back to full training. The ironic part was that fight was so much of a banger, and I actually got probably the least amount of injuries. Like, my legs were fine, my knuckles were fine. I was like, usually my knuckles are killing me after a fight, honestly.
Definitely. Well, with brain health, is that something that you've always taken seriously in the past even?
No, I have a daughter now. She's 3. She's gonna be 4 in February. As soon as I had her, I was like, I got to take this a lot more seriously. I used to, coming up, I would spar all the time. Like, that was like my favorite thing to do. Let's just spar, let's spar, and that's how you get good at it. So that kind of sucks, because that really is the only way to mimic a fight, is to fight, and that's how you get good at striking, is to fight. But after having her, like, I take that so much more serious. I want to see her grow up forever. I want to remember things. I don't want to forget something she told me or anything like that. I don't want to. And I'm having another daughter too, so that's another one coming up. So I definitely want to be here for them forever and be a grandpa one day.
What's up with fighters just having daughters?
I don't know. I don't know. It's awesome though. I will say, I love her. Oh man, I love my kids so much. Honestly, after having her, everyone's shocked that they're like, what do you want to have, a boy? Everyone's like, you want to have a boy, right? To have a little fighter. I'm like, no, man, I'm looking back at the old pictures, and I'm like, I want another girl. Just like I had a little girl. That's the best feeling when I come home and she says, "Daddy," it's like, kills you.
I think it balances you out, right? Because you're so aggressive in your work that you could go home and kind of show your other side and release a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely possible. She wants me playing Barbies and makeup and doing girly stuff when I get home, and my house is my wife, my daughter, my second daughter coming in a couple months, and then we have a girl cat. So it's like I'm really outnumbered.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, I'm in the same experience, man. It's my wife and my daughter. It's like 2-on-1. You can't win.
Yeah, now it's gonna be 3-on-1 for me, man.
Yeah, it's not good. Now, you get back into full swing in the gym. Before you head into this training camp for January 23rd, you had a lot of time. Did you work on something in particular?
Nothing in particular. I'm just, like I get asked that question a lot. Just I'm trying to get better everywhere. Like what I'm best at, whatever I think I'm best at, I'm trying to get even better at that. Whatever I'm worst at, I'm obviously trying to get better at that. So it's a constant progression, trying to get better at everything, level up all around.
It seems like even in the off season when you're not in camp, you stay jacked. Like you look big, you look ripped. You know what I mean? Is that something that is it with your diet that you continue doing when you're outside the camp, or are you adding muscle? Or are you adding size?
I definitely do add size back on. Like when I go into camp, I start losing some size because I am a bigger guy for featherweight. But my favorite thing to do right after a fight is to get back to the gym and hit the weights. Like I love lifting weights, and I used to walk around like a. I tried out for the Ultimate Fighter. I was 159 pounds trying out for the Ultimate Fighter to fight at lightweight, and they were like, and I had full clothes on. This was at night. 159 pounds. They were like, lightweight. Oh, I probably weighed 156 pounds without my clothes on. And they were like, lightweight. You sure you want to go lightweight? Back then, I could have made bantamweight back then. I was the same height, but I'm so much bigger than I wish I was walking around at 59 just so I could make that weight cut so easily again. But yeah, after a fight, I get right back to the weight room, start putting the muscle that I lost over the diet for the last couple of weeks right back on.
Well, now with COVID restrictions, how has training been for you in where you're living?
I haven't really missed a step. I kind of live in New York, which is like a lockdown state, but we work our ways around it. It's been we haven't really missed a beat, honestly. I don't know if I should say that or not, but everything's been going smooth. No problems at all on that front.
There's a bunch of guys. I've spoke to guys in Long Island, in other parts of New York, and they're training like it's normal, and it seems like it's been okay for them.
Yeah, I wouldn't say normal because you still got this. It's definitely a weird time, especially in New York, because I've been to since COVID. I've been to Vegas twice and Louisiana. I went there for a family vacation, and New York is just so much more strict than those two places. And even I went to North Carolina too, and same thing. Like it's a lot more strict where I live than it is anywhere else. So it's a little bit of a weird time. I wouldn't say 100% normal, but as normal as you can get, I'd say.
Yeah, well, I guess the adjustments, once you make them and get used to them, it becomes normal, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Now, when the UFC came to you with Hakeem Dawodu, were there other names in the mix, or was it just him and you just signed the contract?
That's the name I got, and I was like, you know what? He asked for that fight. I like this matchup. This is another fun matchup for the fans, and not just for the fans, but for me. Like that's the this is like my redemption of not getting caught up in that fun style of fight where I got to keep my focus the entire time and not let that part get the best of me. So yeah, I love the matchup. I think it's a fun matchup. It's a great matchup. Stylistically, I love the matchup for myself too. So
on paper, it's an explosive matchup, explosive clash, and I think the fans. What's ironic about this is they expect you to go out there and do the exact same thing in the Emmett fight, but and win, which is good and bad for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's fine. They honestly, anytime I fight, I feel like if they expect that from me, then I'm doing my job right, because I want to be a fan favorite fighter. Like I want to be one of those guys that, oh shit, Shane Burgos is fighting, I can't miss that fight. So I'm definitely gonna be myself still. I'm not taking anything away from myself. I'm still gonna be myself, but I'm gonna be myself on a more not reserved, but a more focused, just more focused.
Yeah, elevating your skill set and your approach, and I think mentally you're different. Are you different going into this fight?
100%, man. Like 1,000,000%. It's every fight is I have the win or die mentality, where it's really like I'm going in there to win, or I'm coming back on my shield. Now I'm having another kid, like I said a couple times now, and the pressure is on even more. I'm coming off of a loss. I'm fighting a guy that's not ranked. All the pressure is on me, but that's where I thrive. I want all the pressure on you. I want everyone to think that I'm going to win, and I'm going to go out there. I'm going to prove them all right.
He's riding a 5-fight win streak, but 3 of those fights are split decisions. When you see that on someone's record, do you go back and dissect those fights a little bit more?
I don't do too much tape study or whatever you would say. I let my coaches do that, because you get caught up in worrying about what your opponent does better than and looking out for what he's going to do. And I don't want to focus too much on that kind of stuff. I've seen all of his fights, obviously. Like I'm a huge fan of the sport, so I watch all the fights, period. But and he fought one of my teammates, Julio Arce. So I've seen all of his fights. I was at that fight too, obviously. And I don't put too much stock into the split decision because you can't really like with these judges. Like I sometimes you win
Yeah.
a split decision. It should have been a clear cut 30-27. You know what I mean?
Exactly, exactly. So how do you envision ending this fight?
By any means necessary, I'm getting my hand raised and I'm finishing before that final bell. That's my first and foremost. The biggest goal going into 2021 is not just to win, but win emphatically.
Now, there's a big fight coming up in the featherweight division between Cater and Holloway. A week before you face off against Hakeem. You know, is there a stylistic advantage for Cater, or do you see Max coming out on top?
I, I'm I've been a fan of Max for a while before I was in the UFC. He's a young kid coming up, he's around the same age as me. I was like, this is cool. I was like, he got a similar build to me, so I was kind of looked like reminding me of myself a little bit. But Cater obviously is the first person to ever beat me, so I have to root for him. That's just how it goes. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna root for that guy until we fight again. Obviously, he's a good guy too, so I'm definitely rooting for him. But I do think he has the power advantage. I think that's for sure. I think he definitely has a power advantage. Max does a little bit more volume. He's more volume on the feet. So it is a style clash because they're both stand-up guys. They're both kind of like boxers. They use their hands a lot, but Max has more volume and Cater has more power. So I guess it's going to be a battle of that. Who am I leaning towards? I'm leaning towards Cater, though.
All right. Now, by decision. Okay.
I think Max has a fucking granite chin. I'll give him that.
Definitely. Other than you, Cater, and Holloway, the rest of the top 15 doesn't have any fights lined up, which is crazy to me because featherweight is one of the most stacked divisions in the UFC. Why do you think everybody's sitting idle? Why is everybody just sitting around?
I didn't even know that stat. That's actually really crazy to me. I have no clue. That doesn't really make any sense at all, actually. Now that makes me wonder. That's weird because I assumed I was fighting Dawodu because there was nobody else in top 15 to fight, but that doesn't really make any sense. But it is what it is. I'm fighting. I got my fight. I worry about that. Yeah, that's weird. I don't know what the hell is going on with the rest of the guys. I don't know.
And, another issue in the featherweight division is Yair. I mean, he's one of the top contenders too, and he just got suspended by USADA for whereabouts violation, which is very rare. Is it difficult to deal with USADA in your experiences?
In my experience, no, honestly. I just got they just sent me my 25-time tested clean.
Okay.
Sure. Got that a couple of days ago, so that was pretty cool. But the guy that tested me, he's a real cool guy. Like, he tested me the first day we brought my daughter back home from the hospital, like when she was born, and he's seen her growing up for the last 4 years, which is pretty cool. We have like a little bit of a relationship. Like he just knocks on my door randomly. I'm like, oh, what's up? Avery knows him by now, and my daughter knows him by now. It's funny, but I have no problem with USADA, and it's a little bit annoying, but I'll deal with that annoyingness just to make sure, not to make sure, but to try to make sure that the sport stays clean. Because obviously there's guys still cheating out there. I don't think that's ever gonna go away completely. But UFC having USADA makes it the hardest organization to actually cheat and get away with, I think, and I like that.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, one last thing before I let you go, I was watching this video on you, and I didn't even know this about you, that you had scoliosis as a teenager, and you got surgery to correct it. And then you had to go through some difficulty to overcome it after the surgery, and even training. You got back to training too early. You didn't listen to the doctors, what I mean? Going through all of that stuff, man, like, how did that form you into like who you are today, that experience so young?
Maybe. I really don't even put too much thought into it. It definitely has to, thinking back, like looking back on it. But a lot of times, like a lot of people are like, wow, you overcame that. I'm like, overcame what? Like, I don't really give myself too much credit for that. It's the hand that I was dealt. I dealt with it. I got the surgery, and I'm here now. I'm looking back. Yeah, it definitely had to mold me to the person I am today. But I don't like to give myself too much props for that, because who would I be if I didn't pick myself up and move on from that? You know what I mean? They all told me that I wouldn't be able to train. I wouldn't be able to do this. I wouldn't be able to do that. And what kind of man would I be if I just sat back and accepted that? That's how I feel. So I don't give myself too much credit for it.
Well, do you think you listen to your doctors a little bit more nowadays compared to that?
Well, now I have a wife, so yeah. She film 100%. Yeah. That was stupid back then. So I'm not gonna. Looking back, I was just such an idiot back then. 2 weeks after the surgery, I was literally jumping on a trampoline, doing backflips and shit. I'm like, what an idiot. My mom wasn't home at the time, so it's not my parents' fault. They were at work. I was doing this, I was skateboarding and stuff. They get home and I'd run back inside. It's crazy because for the first week I was literally laid up in the hospital. The second week is when I started recovering, but that was still a bad week. The third week when I was jumping on trampoline, like I had my mom. The second week, my mom had to give me like a sponge bath. I had to wear like underwear in the bath because I literally couldn't move. And then fast forward a week after that, I'm doing stupid shit again. It's pretty crazy to think about.
It is, man. Well, anyways, I think that molded you into what you are, part of what you are today, man. That mentality that you have of going in there and doing what you do, man. I don't think many people have that. But hey, leading into it, man, UFC 257, big fight, Fight Island. Yeah, man, I'm ready to see you get back in there and bang it out, man. Thank you so much for the time, Shane.
To be back, no problem. Thank you for having me. Talk to you after the fight, hopefully, man.
Take a move in the ring. You can hit me with a word.